Sound check, check, 1, 2.
This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
And he knows as soon as he gives it to her, he's gonna give her his heart to her too.
And we'll have kids and get married.
That's too far.
Holy shit.
Happy Mother's Day. It's the 10th of May, 2020. My name is Corey Winfield. I appreciate you listening. Matter of fact, it's kind of the only reason why I'm doing the podcast tonight. I mean, obviously, Saturdays, Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, we do new podcasts. And I could have blown it off today, but I didn't. And the reason why I'm doing this podcast is because you're kind enough to listen. So I really do appreciate that. And went downstate and saw my mother today, which means I had lots of driving to do today. I had quite a bit, 6 hours. And when I drive, I like to think. And it came to my attention that a good friend of mine from back in the day could be having some hard times. And I started thinking about when I was in active addiction. And I asked my girlfriend the same thing. I said, well, how would you react if you would have heard this podcast? You know, if someone would have said, hey, you know, listen to this guy. You know, of course, I said this before. I would have thought it was cool because it was me on there. But, you know, I'm sure people have told me over the years, hey, listen to this guy. He's really good. He's really good. You know, you listen to him. And I don't know. I probably just blew it off. And I wanted to make this podcast a little bit different tonight. It's going to be a little shorter. And if someone shared this podcast with you, you will understand why they did that in about 10 minutes. You know, like I said, I'm not going to preach to you tonight. I'm not going to do anything like that. But I wanted to do this podcast with the mindset of talking with someone who is in active addiction. And like I said, I'm not going to preach to you. I'm not going to go through the whole spiel of you should not do drugs, you should not drink. It is what it is, man. You know you probably shouldn't. There's a reason why, like I said, you're listening to this, and I appreciate that. You know, the fact that you're giving it 10 minutes, it's really going to mean a lot to a lot of people and yourself. My buddy, he was doing great, man. He had some problems back in the day, but, you know, he has, I don't want to get to his personal life too much without him here. You know, he can tell you more about it, but I feel for him. He's in a really bad place, and a lot of that is caused by depression. If you're not too familiar with how addiction works, you know, do some research on it. And I just want to tell you that there's 3 things to be careful for in active addiction. And, you know, if you're listening, you'll find out why in a minute. But you have to be willing to learn how to live a different life. You can't just stop using and expect everything to come up roses. I mean, life will be better in general because you'll feel better. You know, you'll stop poisoning your body. You know, of course you're going to feel better. You know, if you're eating poison brownies for 2 years straight and a little bit each time is just taking a little bit off your life and you stop taking the brownies, that's killing you. Aren't you going to feel better? Kind of common sense there, but a lot of people don't look at alcohol that way. But alcohol is poison. Oh, I just drink beer. Yeah, man, I get it. But that's something that you have to do, and you have to be willing to learn to live a different life. And don't be afraid of this life. This was something that was hard for me to deal with. I thought in 5 years I could drink again. I thought I would get a radio job out in California or Washington. You know, there's a few places that I was willing to go. Ironically, one of them is Traverse City, Michigan, and that's where I am today. And I figured I would be far enough away from my family and friends that I could drink again, and they wouldn't even know. That's ridiculous that I even thought that, because they would know, and I wouldn't hold a job and would end up falling flat on my face. So I'm glad that I didn't get those jobs. You have to learn to live the different life, and it's a great life. It really is. But don't be afraid, about how are you going to change? How are you going to let go of alcohol? How can you never drink again? After a year and a half, you won't want to drink again. You'll never want to touch a drink because you'll be living such a better life. And the second thing on this is you have to trust God. You can be spiritual. I mean, I am. I'm very spiritual. I'm not religious, but I believe that there is a God out there. Some people say higher power. I mean, whatever you want to call it, believe that good things are going to happen to you and that your higher power, your God, wants that to happen for you. And don't waste your time trying to figure out why this happened, why that happened. Oh, God, and if you do believe in God, then that means you believe in the devil as well. So, not all the bad things that happen in your life are because of God. Well, why didn't God stop it? Well, sometimes there's the other part of that, and maybe that's part of the plan. Maybe you have to go through some of the bad things in life, and you might think, well, why me, God? Why me? Well, maybe because your kid's going to need you to lean on later in life. Maybe your grandson. You never know what that experience is teaching you in life, and you're the only one going through it. So if you can help somebody out later in life, you never know why that happened. And you just have to trust God and stop wondering why. Stop trying to figure everything out. And the third thing, and this is very important, don't get comfortable when good things start to happen. And what I mean by that is when something good happens, you start smiling. You're like, wow, like I haven't drank in 2 months, or I haven't used in 2 months. And look at, some great things are happening, like, look, I got this. I could probably drink again, next weekend, the wife's out of town or, whatever, Don't get too comfortable. That happened to me way too many times. I would have 4 months, I'd rack up 5 months sobriety, and I would look at people with a year and a half and think, how do they do it? How could they get such a run of just clean days in a row? They add up. They really do. But my problem, I would get too comfortable. I would think, I got 4 months, 5 months. Now let me do this, or, I would always get too comfortable thinking, oh, I can just jump right back in it and no one will know. And that was a huge problem for me. The good things do start happening. Whether you, get a new apartment, get a new car, a new job maybe, and the things are going great. Everybody likes you. And you know what? Damn it, you can drink this weekend because you got Monday off. It's a 3-day weekend, and, with the big games on or whatever, Just be careful of that and don't get caught up in that, and just expect more good things to keep happening. If you're 2 months in, 3 months in, good things are happening, great. Wait for the fourth, wait for the fifth month, wait for a year. See how many more great things are just going to keep coming on you. Oh, that sounded bad, kind of, didn't it? Sorry, Chris Goss. But, and yeah, shout out to my man, Chris. So those are some of the things that I just kind of wanted to touch base. And like I said, I just want to be quick tonight and didn't want to preach too much. I do appreciate you listening to this podcast. And if somebody did tell you to listen to this podcast, it's because I'm asking them right now that if you know someone who is in active addiction and you're fearful for their life and you don't want to lose them to such a horrible way to go, then share this with someone that you absolutely 100% love and don't want to lose. And just maybe they can kind of get something out of this and realize life's not over. And this happens to a lot of people. Don't beat yourself up. It's going to be a road where mistakes are going to be made. And you learn from those mistakes and you pick yourself up and you keep going. You move forward. And yeah, sometimes you get knocked down, but you have to get back up. And the reason why that person shared this with you tonight is because they love you and they don't want to lose you. So just share this with one person at least that you love, that you don't want to lose. And maybe it could make a difference. You have nothing really to lose, and at least they'll know that you absolutely love them and that you care about them. And there's nothing wrong with listening to this because someone shared it with you. They're not saying you're a bad person. Nobody's judging you, man or ma'am. But they just really care. And I don't want my friend to die or to mess up his life anymore. And I talked to the family, and they were just saying he's not gonna do it. He doesn't want help. He's depressed. He's done. I did a podcast I think a week or so ago where I was talking about that I'm not responsible for what other people choose and the decisions that other people make, and I'm not. But it still hurts a little bit when I feel like I could be doing more. So, yeah, I'll share this with my friend, and I don't judge anybody. I was there, man. I know, I'm going to have a year and a half coming up next month. And I'm really excited about that. I never thought I would have made it that long. And the things that I'm doing now, I found a purpose in this podcast. I found a purpose in life. I take trainings. I go, recovery coach, recovery ambassador. I've taken a couple suicide prevention trainings, just stuff to help me learn and to help me grow as a person. That gives me purpose. And once I found that purpose, it's just hit the ground running. And, and the fact that you listen to this and you do share this with your friends, and it gives me more purpose. Like I said, when I first started off, you're the reason why I did this tonight. So thank you. And if you want to read our blogs, there's a new one coming tomorrow. My blog, it's after midnight now, but Mondays is the name of that blog. Anna has her Broken to Beautiful blog, and Jay has the Spiritual Asylum blog. And Anna also has the Broken Beautiful podcast. So check them out, listen, and we really appreciate it. Share us. We're on YouTube. I got to figure out how to fix that. I don't know. It'll only play like 15-minute clips at a time, and it plays them backwards, so it's really weird. I know. I'm trying. Not trying very hard, though. Not on YouTube, anyway. But on all the other podcasting platforms, you can find us. So, again, thanks for listening, and you have a good night. I'll talk to you Tuesday.